Chinese New Year to everybody. Gong Hei Fa Choi. This is the year of the tiger. Chinese New Year is for prosperity and health, and people in mainland China and Southeast Asia celebrate Chinese New Year. And what we have is family is very important. So a lot of family feasts and celebrations in places like Singapore, Malaysia, Korea, Mongolia, so mainland China and Southeast Asia. So today I'm going to make a family tradition meal, not a meal, but a dish that has been passed on from my grandparents down to me. So you can buy these wonton wraps at a grocery store, anywhere, most grocery stores. So I got these are just little wonton wrappers which you can get. So as I said, it's tradition from our family. It's been passed down from my grandparents to my dad to myself, and I'm passing on to my daughters. But how do we get here in Canada? My grandparents immigrated to Canada in the late 40s. They landed they came over by boat, and they landed in Vancouver in the late 40s. At that time, there was a lot of people from mainland China, Hong Kong specifically is where my grandparents came from, immigrated to Canada, specifically Vancouver. So my grandfather at the time was looking for a place to settle down because there were so many people in Vancouver. They said, where can we go in Canada? So it's funny because he met in fact, it ended up being his best friend he met in Vancouver, and they kind of sat down and made a game plan. So they said, where can we go in Canada where maybe we can set up a business, maybe a restaurant? So it was kind of funny because people say, well, how did you get to Pembroke? Well, my grandfather's best friend saw an opportunity in the Pembroke Petawawa area, and they said, why would that be an opportunity? Well, there was a military base here. They thought, okay, I wonder if we open a Chinese restaurant. I mean, there's military there, it's lots of people there. So they took that chance, and they came from Vancouver to Pembroke in the late 40s. So they ended up opening up a Chinese restaurant. At that time, it was called Lunch Grill. So they serve Chinese food. As you know, when coming to Canada, I don't think their English was very good, so they had to learn the language. My dad came shortly after that, so he would have came probably in the early 50s without my mom. My mom and my two sisters, who were both born in. My two sisters were born in Hong Kong, and so my mom were left behind. So my dad was in Canada with his dad and mother in the late 40s or early 50s. So they opened up the restaurant business. My mom and my sisters didn't end up coming to Canada probably till the late 50s. So they came to Canada and they had to learn the language. My sisters would have been at that time probably 9 or 10 years old. So none of them were born in Canada. They immigrated here. So there's a big age difference between my two sisters. 11 years between my one sister and I. I was the first one born in Canada out of a family of 8 kids. So you'll see that you'll see a family of my sisters and brothers. So I was the first one born in Canada after my 2 older sisters. So we are now the 3rd generation. And you talk about tradition. My wontons is what I'm making today. Is something that holds dear to myself, my family, and my kids. So I hope to pass on to them. It's something that we love. It's easy to make, and that's why I'm showing you today. But growing up in Canada, it was a challenge for all of us because we didn't know the language. We were probably the first Chinese family in Pembroke. I would say in the 60s and 50s. So it was a little challenging for us. We learned a lot. One thing we learned from the restaurant business is we learned to work hard, to treat people how we want to be treated, same as how we want to be treated. Sometimes there are challenges, but you know what? My dad was such a strong person, which I'm glad I got his personality, and he got along with everybody. So it's something that I've learned, and I think I passed on to my family. But you know, you might look different, but you know what? Once they get to know you, I think that helps. Some people judge you before they even know you, and it's unfortunate, but we're working towards a better future, and that's why for my children and my grandchildren, I think we're going the right direction. Making food, though, is something that I had to learn at the restaurants to make wontons. All right, how to make wonton or wonton soup. It was passed down from my grandparents to my parents to myself, so hopefully it will go on to my children and my grandchildren. So you'll see in front of you, I took a quick, I made it a little bit, took some shortcuts so that you can see what we have. The filling of a wonton is the main ingredient is pork. You can use pork, you can use shrimp, some people use vegetables. So what I did is I got a pound or 500 kilograms of minced lean pork, and I'm using green onions and half a package of mushrooms. Now I've already chopped the green onions and the minced mushrooms, and when I minced the mushrooms, I fried it. So I sauteed it. I put the the chopped onions and the minced fried mushrooms, sauteed mushrooms into the pork, mixed it up for flavoring. Now it's up to you, but I used about a teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of pepper. So I mix it all up by hand. So that's why it's already pre-mixed, just so it saves time. You'll also see one thing about is red is such a good luck color because it symbolizes luck, joy, and happiness. And these red envelopes are very popular. We put money into it and give it to what we call children 25 and under. To help for the wontons to stick, a mixture of already mixed egg and water, which is going to help bind the wonton wrap. So you'll see I have 6 on here. So what I'm going to do is I use a brush, left side, top side, right side. So you leave the bottom left side, top side, right side. So you'll see what I do. So, okay. All right, so left side, top side, right side has brushed on the egg water mix. The filling, you'll see it's about the size. I'm using one of these little spoons, not one of these little spoons for the filling. So put it right in the middle. So it's probably half the size of a teaspoon. All right, so bottom right corner. So because 3 sides have the mix of egg and water, it's going to help bind. I'm going to bring the bottom right corner, top left corner, fold it. Again, fold it. So bottom right, top left. Because what happens, the sides are all going to join because I've used the brush to put the egg water mix. So that's going to bind. So to wrap it, everybody has certain designs or patterns. I just touched the right corner with egg water mix. All I'm going to do is just going to twist it and join the corner and join 2 sides. So that's it's your preference, however you want to do it. So it's already flat. So here's where I put the egg. I'm going to twist it and just join 2 corners. We all learned how to cook. We learned how to dishwash. We all learned to work hard because we knew, that's how my dad wanted. He always said to us, when he came to Canada, he didn't have an education and his English was very broken. So he said to all of us, I want you all to get an education and move on. And we learned from him. As you see, the sides are already binded because if you notice that when I when I used to brush to do the left, top, and right side of the wonton, now there's just joints naturally. So there's how you make wonton soup. Now, you can add, for the broth, I use already a brand name chicken broth. So that just makes it easier. You just add that. What you got to do though, you'll see that I have this in a bowl. So now, how do I get it to get it cooked? All right, so we've made some wontons, and they put them in a bowl. Now we have to boil them. Okay, so the water's boiling in this pot, just plain water, nothing in it. I'm just gonna put these wrapped wontons that I did into the pot, let it boil. And how do you know when it's cooked? What happens is the wontons will float to the top. Once they float to the top, and they'll turn a little bit of a white color, kind of like when you make spaghetti. As you know, spaghetti is kind of a brown, and when you boil it, it turns kind of white. Well, that's what I'm doing here. It's boiled for maybe 3 to 5 minutes now. Okay, so I'm going to take it out of the boiling water. I'm going to turn the water off. Now what I'm going to do is I have it in a strainer because I'm going to rinse off the starch. And there's your wontons. You can serve it. You can serve it as, if you're going to serve it right away, you can serve right from here into a bowl with your broth. Now some people will mix it with vegetables with their wontons, or they might use Chinese noodles. So make a wonton noodle and make it a meal. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to rinse it off, only because I'm not eating it right away. Okay, so it doesn't stick. And there you are, there's your wonton. Now, if you want fried wontons, what I did is I boiled this. So instead of boiling it, when I wrap the wontons, just throw it in the deep fryer for a couple minutes. So that's the only difference between wonton soup and fried wontons that you can have with plum sauce or sweet and sour sauce. One thing about Chinese tradition is whenever you go to somebody's house, you bring a gift. Oranges and fruit are a big part of tradition for bringing gifts. Thank you. Speaking about traditions, good luck and bad luck. As you know, red is good luck for prosperity, wealth, health. So guess what I'm wearing today? 4, the number 4 is an unlucky number because when you say the word 4 in Chinese, it almost sounds like the word death in Chinese. So that's why people do not, people from Asia do not like the word 4. The number 8 is a good luck number because when pronounced, it almost sounds like the word wealth in Chinese. So these are just little things. So, talk about superstition. My mother, when we bought our first house, did not want me to buy a house on a dead-end street because on a dead-end street, the older generation believes in energy and they want energy to keep flowing. But on a dead-end street, they figured if there's bad energy, it'll stay there. I guess I would say I'm superstitious too. My lucky number is 8. And it's funny because when I go fill my gas, I make sure that it ends with an 8 and that's no lie. In sports, I do things, maybe that's because of sports, but I am superstitious when I do sports too. I keep doing the same thing. So, you look at tradition, and these are things that I've learned. And I know my girls are the same thing. They see their dad with a certain tradition. Well, they're following the same thing. Canada's been home for me. Pembroke has been home for me. I was born and raised in Pembroke. Went to school in Pembroke. I came back and worked in Pembroke. I retired in Pembroke. Eventually, I will probably be buried in Pembroke. But you know what? It's all good. I love Pembroke. I love the Renfrew County. Thank you.